reach into my bag, my tools of how do I overcome these obstacles, and I prayed, right? I said a prayer to God. I said, "Hey God, like I'm really not feeling it. I need you to carry me through this. Like I know I'm committed to this. I know you have given me this. Holy Spirit, give me the words to say. Give me the enthusiasm. Let it ooze through these mics. Let it ooze through this video, and let the people feel my passion. Let them heed to the advice that I'm giving. Let this information be impactful to them, and to just flow through me and use me as you see fit." And so once I said that prayer, like I cut on the cameras and I began to talk. And as I'm talking, these are the words that you're getting. Again, as I said before, this is the Holy Spirit speaking through me to give it to you. So I prayed. I used my tool, a prayer, to help me overcome this obstacle. What's up, fam? Before we get into today's episode, I want you to go check out our website at www.igotdreamspodcast.com and subscribe to our emailing list. We are creating the ultimate accountability group for entrepreneurs. So if you are an entrepreneur, if you are a business leader, if you are a dreamer, we want you to be a part of our group. All you got to do is go to www.igotdreamspodcast.com and subscribe to our emailing list, and we'll take it from there. This thing is going to be bigger than us, and we want you to be a part of it. Again, go to www.igotdreamspodcast.com and subscribe to our emailing list. Now, let's get back to the show. What's going on, fam? Welcome to another episode of the I Got Dreams podcast, the ultimate accountability podcast, where we talk about your dreams and your goals and help you to actually get there and accomplish them as an entrepreneur. Our entire goal here is to get you to take that first step to accomplish your dreams, from you to go from A to B, from idea to execution. And we're here to help you do just that. I am your host, Mike Davis Jr. And man, I'm so glad you decided to tune in today. It's going to be a great conversation. It may be a quick conversation, but it's always going to be great. It's always going to be informational. It's always going to be empowering. It's always going to be inspiring. And that's why I want you to know, like we are here to help you again, to just take that first step, to get off the porch, to jump off the porch and get in the game, right? To just start that business, right? And figure it out along the way, to create something, put it out there in the world, give feedback, and then adjust it to make it better, right? That is why we are here, man. Hey, I'm hyped up this morning, man. I'm so glad that y'all decided to tune in. But before we get into this thing, man, how was your week? How was your week? DM me on Instagram. Just let me know how your week was. Find a video that I posted. Just comment on there about your week. Man, I always love hearing about your week as an entrepreneur. Like, what did you go through that made you a better entrepreneur this week, right? What goals did you hit this week, right? What steps did you take to make you a better person this week? Like, I'm always interested in knowing how was your week and how did you handle it, right? So last week for me, I had a great week. I took a week off, really not from the podcast, but we went on vacation. My wife, and I and four other couples went on vacation. Right, went to Miami. It was a great, great vacation, man. Like we had so much fun, and actually, as I'm recording this right now, today is my wife and I's anniversary. It's our second year anniversary. So go to our pages, man. Just love on us, like let us know that you're rocking with us, that you support us, and just to say happy anniversary. Like we really love that stuff, man. So thank y'all, man, for being the community that holds me accountable as well to being a better person, to being a better husband, because those are the things I'm committed to, just to get better overall, right? But again, we're here to talk about being a better entrepreneur. So let's jump into this thing, right? Today we are talking about overcoming obstacles. Overcoming obstacles, right? And so, as an entrepreneur, we are always faced with a challenge. We are always faced with a challenge. That's part. That's really the definition of entrepreneurship. if you ask me, is really an entrepreneur, in my definition, is someone who has the ability to figure things out. Someone who has the ability to figure things out. If you can do that, then you are an entrepreneur, right? Entrepreneurs are problem solvers, right? We are problem solvers. So again, it's the ability, someone who has the ability to figure things out. So again, overcoming obstacles. There are always going to be obstacles as an entrepreneur, right? And so, why do you need to know how to overcome obstacles, right? And the point number one is that challenges are inevitable. Challenges are inevitable. Again, you're always going to face obstacles as an entrepreneur. There's always something that's going to come up, right? To kind of like get you off of course, right? I'll give you a quick example. So um, every Tuesday, I go live on my social media page, my personal social media pages, where I do a book review on a certain book, right? And so, or a certain chapter on the book. So, I'm currently reading The Lean Startup by Eric Ries, and so every Tuesday, I go live on my social media pages and I discuss a chapter that I read in that book. And so, as I told you last week, my wife and I we went to Miami, and so I was really committed to like continuing to do the book review on Tuesday, right? But when we got to Miami, we started having like so much fun, like, and it just seems like I didn't have time to even read the chapter, so therefore I didn't have time to do the book review, and so I just let it slip, right? And so that was an obstacle that I faced, right? But if I would have put um things in place, like if I would have put some measures in place to say, okay, even though we're going to Miami, when we get there, I'm going to read my chapter at this time, and then I'm going to actually do my book review at this time on Tuesday, like I always do. If I would have been intentional about setting that time, I would have gotten, um, I would have got my book review done. I would have went live on Tuesday instead of just saying forget it totally, right? So that was an obstacle that I had. Technically, I didn't overcome it, but hey, I'm giving myself grace, and so that's part of it too. Give yourself grace, right? And so that's number one, is that challenges are inevitable as an entrepreneur. You're always going to run into a challenge. Point number two, you will become a creative thinker. You will become a creative thinker. Like when you have a challenge, right? It focuses you, it forces you to focus on a solution. When you have a challenge, it forces you to focus on a solution, right? It forces you to figure out a solution, right? And so, in order to come up with some type of solution, in order to solve some type of problem, you have to become a more creative thinker, right? Like you have to use your brain in order to figure things out, right? So when you come to an obstacle, your brain automatically starts thinking, okay, how can I overcome this? How can I solve this problem? How can I solve this issue? How can I get this fixed in order for me to move forward? And so when you start thinking like that, your brain becomes more creative. You start thinking of more ideas. You start to figure it out. Again, entrepreneur is a person who has the ability to figure things out. Remember that we are entrepreneur, so we have the ability to figure things out, which therefore we are creative thinkers, right? So whenever we come to a problem, we become more creative in our thinking in order to figure it out and solve it, right? That's point number two. Point number so again, point number one is that challenges are inevitable. Point number two is that you will become a more creative thinker, right? A better creative thinker. And point number three, your progress won't be hindered, right? So when you overcome obstacles, like when something comes to in your way, it's an obstacle, right? And like when you see it, some people see a stop sign, right? And so what I want you to see is a yield sign. Like instead of stopping, like yield to it and then, check both ways. When I say check both ways, I mean find a solution, like figure out how to go forward and then you continue to go, right? And but that's what having the tools of overcoming obstacles, knowing how to actually overcome obstacles that's where they come into place, right? Because when you come to an obstacle, it will no longer be a stop sign. It'll be a yield sign for you to, again, look both ways to figure out how to get by and then continue to go, right? Okay, also, remember this: entrepreneurs who can effectively handle challenges can avoid potential pitfalls, right? Entrepreneurs who can effectively handle challenges can avoid pitfalls. So, what does that mean, right? If you can effectively handle an obstacle, if you can effectively handle a challenge, you can avoid jumping into a pit. You can avoid, you will save time and not waste time like trying to figure things out, and, like, but you'll be able to do so in a timely manner, right? You still have to figure it out, but you won't go into a pitfall trying to figure it out, right? If you just knew how to effectively handle these challenges, right? So you might be saying, well, Mike, how do I effectively handle these challenges, right? How can you overcome these challenges? So I got 6 points for you. I got 6 things that you can do to effectively overcome challenges, right? And so number one is prayer. Number one is prayer. Write these steps down, right? So I'm a Christian, and so I lean heavily on God and everything that I do, right? He's my leader, he's my God, and he's my director of my path, right? And so whenever I come to an obstacle, especially one that I feel like that is too big for me to handle, I pray and ask for God for guidance, and He reveals those things to me, right? And so if you're not a Christian, that's cool. This may not be exactly for you, but again, that's what I do. I pray, ask God for guidance, and He reveals to me what steps I need to take because, again, He leads me and guides my steps, right? And let me be very clear, right? Let me be very clear. Like anything that I do, God is in it, right? Even if I try not to put Him in it, He's going to show up in some way, some shape, some form, shape, or fashion, right? Because He's in me, He's inside me, so it's always going to come out, right? Like even starting this podcast, right? God has shown up numerous times, like a number of times, and like provided for me, showed me the direction to go. Even me speaking right now, the Holy Spirit is taking over because He's directing my path. He's giving me the words to say, right? And I truly believe that, and I know that. And so that's the first point. First point is prayer, right? I pray. um, Point number two is that I keep the vision in mind, right? I keep the vision in mind. So where am I going, right? Who do I want to become? Um, where do I ultimately want to get this business to, right? So I keep that vision in mind, keep the dream in mind in order to help me continue to go, right? In order for me to face this obstacle, because guess what? The dream is bigger than this obstacle that I'm facing, right? The dream is bigger than this obstacle I am facing. And since my dream is bigger than this obstacle, I'm going to put my focus on it. And so it also going to give me that motivation to get over this obstacle because I really do want to reach my big dream. And again, why do you want to reach your big dream? Why? How is it going to change your life? What type of person you're going to be on the other side of it? Remember that and keep that in your mind whenever you're going through an obstacle. Like that's going to help you to continue to press forward because that's the life you want to get to, right? And you can't let this little small obstacle stop you from getting to that big dream, right? So you always want to keep that dream in your mind. Always keep that vision in your mind, right? So point number one was prayer. Point number two is to keep the vision in mind. Point number three is to seek support. Seek support, right? So if you have a mentor, if you have a mentor, go to your mentor with the problem that you're having, right? With the obstacle that you're trying to overcome. For me personally, I have a mentor, and so anytime I run into an obstacle that I need help with, I reach out to my mentor and say, "Hey man, like I know you've been here before. This is the situation. What do I need to do?" And so he begins to give me direction because again, he has been at this obstacle before. He knows how to get over it, and so he can teach me how to do the same, right? And so that again, if you have a mentor, reach out to your mentor. If you don't have a mentor, reach out to your friends, right? Like it's something about community that helps you continue to move forward, right? And again, you can get a different perspective whenever you reach out to your community, because truly you might be single focused and trying to solve this issue. It might be like something small, might be something big that you're missing out on, but whatever it is, you can't see it. But when you share with somebody in your community, like they may easily can point it out to you, like, hey, have you thought about this? You say, I never thought about that before, but that makes sense. Let me try to do it that way, and then boom, next thing you know, you have overcome that obstacle because you reached out to your support community and they helped you by giving you a different perspective, right? And so that's another way to overcome obstacles is to seek support. So again, number one is prayer. Number two is to keep the vision in mind. Number three is to seek support. And number four is to stay positive, right? I know this this is a hard one, right? To just stay positive all the time. Like I'll be honest with you, like just with this video, I done did like take after take like for this video, like just to even get started because I wasn't in the right mindset. Like again, I had to reach into my bag, my tools of how do I overcome these obstacles, and I prayed, right? I said a prayer to God, I said, hey God, like I'm really not feeling it. I need you to carry me through this. Like I know I'm committed to this. I know you have given me this. Holy Spirit, give me the words to say, give me the enthusiasm. Let it ooze through these mics, let it ooze through this video, and let the people feel my passion. Let them heed to the advice that I'm giving. Let this information be impactful to them, and to just flow through me and use me as you see fit. And so once I said that prayer, like I cut on the cameras and I began to talk. And as I'm talking, these are the words that you're getting. Again, as I said before, this is the Holy Spirit speaking through me to give it to you. So I prayed. I used my tool, a prayer, to help me overcome this obstacle of not being motivated to jump on camera, to jump on the mic, and to speak, right? Because again, I always keep in mind the bigger vision. And I always say this to myself, right? It's bigger than me, right? This whole thing is bigger than me. This podcast is bigger than me. My vision is bigger than me. I am just a vessel. Mike Davis Jr. is just a vessel, right? And so I always am conscious of that. And so because I'm always conscious of that, it helps me get myself in check. It helps me get my ego in check and say, hey, it's not about you. Let's get this thing done. Let's keep moving forward and let's get into the right mindset. Let's get into the positive mindset. Let's do what we are committed to do, right? Let's be disciplined and let's keep moving forward. Like that's exactly how I talk to myself, right? And so again, number four, stay positive. That's not always easy to do, but again, like it's a must that you do so, right? Because you don't want to start giving people, for me in this podcast, I don't want to just come to you any type of way, right? I don't want to come to you like all down and feeling sad or feeling whatever negative feeling you can think of, right? I always want to come to you in the best light. I don't want to bleed my problems over into you, right? I want to breathe like positivity. I want to breathe the you can do it mentality, though that you got this mentality, you can make it happen mentality into you, right? And that's why I try to exude through this podcast, right? So staying positive is a really big factor in that, right? And so again, number one is to pray. Number two is to keep the vision in mind. Number three is to seek support. Number four is to stay positive. And number five is to don't stop. Do not stop, right? Again, you have this dream that you're going after of. Do not stop, right? Like, and the only way you fail is if you stop. The only way you fail is if you stop. So if you don't stop, if you figure it out, if you keep going, you will never fail, right? So continue to learn, continue to grow, continue to get feedback, continue to seek support, continue to keep that big vision in mind, continue to pray, and you will keep going, right? Keep that vision in mind, right? So again, don't stop. Don't stop. Like you're doing this for a purpose. You're doing this for a reason. Always keep that in your mind whenever you're feeling down, whenever you're not feeling motivated, whenever you're not feeling inspired. Keep that in mind that, hey, like I'm doing this for a reason. There's a bigger purpose. There's a purpose that's bigger than me. I'm going to keep that in mind. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep pushing. I'm going to keep thriving. I'm going to keep reaching out to my support system. I'm going to get on people's nerves until I figure it out, right? I'm going to keep going, right? I'm not gonna stop. I am not gonna stop, right? And I'm talking to myself right now, like as I'm speaking to you, I'm speaking to me. And so I am not going to stop, right? We have to keep going. We have to remember the vision. We have to remember our why. Again, it's bigger than us. So let's keep pushing, right? Let's go, boy. Let's go. Again, number one is prayer. Number two is to keep the vision in mind. Number three is to seek support. Number four is to stay positive, and number five is to don't stop, right? And so, what will you gain from overcoming obstacles? What will you gain from overcoming obstacles? I got three things for you. Number one is that you will gain confidence, right? What does confidence do for you? Confidence is that I know something, right? I know this to be true, right? I know that when I come to this obstacle, I know that I can overcome it, right? And so when things come my way, I'm no longer getting fearful. I'm no longer getting anxious. I'm more so like, okay, yeah, let's do it. Let's go through it because guess what? When I get through this, it's going to get me to another. It's going to get me to another step closer to my dream. It's going to get me another step closer to my vision, right? So I have that confidence in knowing that whenever I face an obstacle, I'm going to get through it, right? And so that is the number one thing that you will gain from overcoming an obstacle is you will gain confidence. Number two, you will gain discipline, right? What do I mean by discipline, right? You will again whenever you see an obstacle, right, you will know how to overcome it, right, because you have done it before, right, so you have been disciplined in this area to overcome obstacles. And so again, an entrepreneur is someone who has the ability to figure things out, right, and so now I have the discipline to figure it out. I have the confidence and I have the know-how. I have the discipline, so I'm going to figure it out. And number three of what you will gain by overcoming obstacles is resiliency, right? You will be resilient, right? You will not let anything stop you. You will keep going. Like any obstacle that comes your way, again, you will push through. You will not stop. You will keep going because now you're resilient. You know that you can do it. You have the confidence to do it. You have the discipline to do it. And you are resilient. So let's go. Let's get this thing. Let's continue to move forward on our path. Let's overcome this obstacle, wherever it may be, and let's push forward, right? I had a couple of questions that came in from social media as it pertains to overcoming obstacles. So the first question was, are there any other ways to overcome obstacles outside of the ones that I mentioned? Are there any other ways to overcome obstacles outside of the ones that I mentioned? Yes, there are. Like there are a number of ways to overcome obstacles. Again, the definition of an entrepreneur is someone who has the ability to figure it out. Right. I just gave you five things that works for me. Right. You may have to do something that works for you. I don't know what that something might be, but whatever it is, just make sure it's positive. Make sure that it's in a good light, like don't jump to something negative. And what do I mean by something negative, right? So for some people, when they go when they come across an obstacle, they may go and look for a drink, because it might be too hard for them or whatever the case may be. But I'm saying do not go looking for a drink or anything negative like that. Like um whatever that helps you to focus on an issue and to find a solution for it, do that thing, right? Do that thing and to overcome that obstacle because if you do anything negative, again, sticking with the drinking example, like once you finish that bottle or once you sober up, the problem is still there. The issue is still there, right? Like you haven't did anything. You haven't fixed anything. All you done was console yourself. Like all you done was try to take yourself out of a situation for a second, and then next thing you know, as soon as you sober up, the issue is still there. You still got to deal with it. You still got to man up. You still got to woman up and deal with this problem or deal with this issue or give up. And again, we're not here to give up. We're here to keep going. So just do it at the beginning, right? Do it at the beginning. The issue comes, figure out how to solve it, and then move forward, right? Continue to go. Um, so yes, there are other ways um, that you can overcome obstacles outside of the ones that I mentioned. But again, just make sure that they are in a positive light, right? Um, the second question is there someone that I talk to help me to overcome obstacles? Is there someone that I talk to help me overcome obstacles? Absolutely. I mentioned that I had a mentor that I always seek after whenever I have an issue. Um, I also mentioned that I have a community of people. Like if ever I'm stuck, I can go to them and ask them for a different perspective, and they can help me see something different and understand something better, right? And so again, we are actually talking about this next week in our next episode about building community and finding support as an entrepreneur, right? And so this has been a really dope episode, man. I really appreciate you guys for tuning in. Again, we are growing this thing. We are getting better and better. I hope you guys are learning information. Well, I know you guys are learning information to take you from A to B, to take you from idea to execution. That's what this whole thing is about. We're going to be better entrepreneurs. We're going to be better business leaders, and we're going to do it together, right? Again, I am building the ultimate accountability group for entrepreneurs, right? And this thing is always, again, it's bigger than us, right? It's bigger than us. And so I'm being very intentional about the way I move. I'm being very intentional about the community that I'm building. And again, I have come across obstacles, but I have identified ways to help me get to the next level, to help me get to overcoming these obstacles, to help me get to where I want to be, to help me get to that big dream, to that big vision. But hey, I love y'all. Be sure to subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. If you are listening to us on Apple Podcasts, be sure to give us a 5-star rating. It's a great way for people to find us. It moves us up in the top. So I really appreciate everybody who's already done that. Well, I appreciate everybody who's supporting this show. If you're on YouTube, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit that notification button so you can be notified whenever we come on. Whenever I drop these episodes, they come out every Thursday at 6 a.m. I drop it as a premiere, so it goes live every Thursday at 6 a.m., man. And I appreciate you guys for all the feedback that you've been giving me, all the suggestions, all the comments. Like, I really appreciate the engagement. I really appreciate you continue to help me to not only get better as a podcaster, but get better as an entrepreneur, right? And so I love you guys, man. Y'all have a blessed and beautiful day. Peace. Bam. Thank you for listening to this episode. I know you just received a lot of value. So look, here's what I want you to do now. Go to our social media platforms on YouTube, on Facebook, on Instagram, on TikTok at I Got Dreams Podcast everywhere, and like, comment, subscribe to all those channels, and let's continue the conversation on there. Look, I told you before, we are creating the ultimate accountability group for entrepreneurs, and we want you to be a part of that group. So go ahead, like, comment, subscribe to our channels at I Got Dreams Podcast everywhere, and we'll see you there. Peace.